Yo, guys, this is a fresh episode of Tea with Tay, and I have a super fantastic guest on my couch. She's a reality star, a businesswoman, an influencer.
A podcaster, a
Yeah.
writer.
Well, we're on the podcast, I beg.
Don't
Never
worry,
start.
we're working on it.
I love it. My guest today is Angel of BBN, Angel Smith of Big Brother Nigeria. Please put your hands together for my guest. The youngest to ever do it. How are you, baby girl?
I'm alright. We thank God.
Finally on my couch.
Yes,
How you
I'm so
feeling
excited.
today? You look very well ready for this couch. Are you ready to give me what I'm ready for?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's go. Let's talk about your life before BBN. Because, I mean, like, you clearly look like you grew up fast. And what was life like before Big Brother? Tell me about growing up.
I think it was really chaotic growing up. I went to like the strictest missionary school. The standard for, education there was very high. I think our A was a 96 or a 97, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, and I also grew up with my granny because, everybody knows my parents had me relatively early.
Yeah.
And my granny and I didn't really get along. So I was out of the house once I was 17. I jappered.
Where did you go?
At the time, I had just gotten admission into Unilag.
Right.
So I stayed in Unilag for 2 weeks. And I was just like, yeah, no. So I basically had to hustle by myself. I started writing for people. And they would pay me like all these little breadcrumbs that I used to survive while being out of my granny's house. And I actually cannot remember how I navigated my life from there. But we thank God that we're here today.
I grew up with my granny too. Not like we got along every other time, but we really got along though. Why didn't you get along with your granny?
I feel like I'm not like the conservative Nigerian.
Yeah.
Like the average Nigerian is pretty conservative, especially the women.
Yeah.
But I'm not a conservative person. My personality just clashes with like the Nigerian culture. And my personality used to clash a lot with my granny's, who is a very strict Christian.
Right.
So we would clash often, and I was chapel prefect in my high school from year 8, actually.
Because it was a missionary school.
Yes.
In Lagos here.
Yes, Marywood. I was a chapel prefect from year 8 till I graduated the school.
So you're a good girl.
In some sense, yes.
Yeah.
I would like to think I am.
Yeah.
But, in terms of like expressions, not so much.
So they didn't understand you?
She didn't really understand me. And she didn't understand like when I was struggling as well. Because like I said, I didn't grow up with my parents. And I don't think they realized how much that affected me growing up as a child. And I had to be with my granny. So, I would say that I started experiencing like my, mental health related issues, like from when I was little. Like I started self-harming like when I was like 12 or something. And I was already writing by then.
Wow. I'm going to come to your mental health issue, but let's talk about your parents.
Huh?
Let's talk about your parents. Like, Why were they not in the picture? Why did your granny have to raise you?
Well, my mom had me when she was like 16, I think.
Same here.
16 or 15. And my dad had me early as well.
Yeah.
So obviously my mom had to fend for herself and my parents weren't. I mean, my dad engaged my mom, but like, I don't know what happened. I never asked. They just broke up. And, it was hard. My dad's family never wanted me. 2019 was when they died. They never saw me. Like, I don't know what they look like, actually. I can't tell you what my dad's parents look like. So, they had to fend for themselves. They were still children as well while raising a child.
Yeah.
So my granny just took me. My mom left Nigeria. She started living in Ghana. I can't really tell where my dad was at the time.
Yeah.
I was a child, so everything is still pretty sketchy. I just had to be raised with my granny, who was more reliable, and she had just come back from London by then. So she just raised me, basically. She was more, up to the task, seeing as she had 2 kids of her own.
Yeah. Let's talk about Unilag. I think we both have experiences from Unilag, but I'm very interested in your own experiences from Unilag.
I was in Unilag for only 2 weeks, and I feel like I got like a lot of healing after Big Brother, because after Big Brother, my granny apologized to me. My granny has never apologized to me before. But, I struggled so much for those 2 weeks because when I got into Unilag was my, first sexual assault experience. And,
Wow.
like that, I still vividly, I can't remember his face. You know how your brain has a way of like wiping things that are so traumatic?
Yeah.
I can't remember his face, but like I can remember one statement he made. He was like, don't let me rape you. That's what he said. And at the time, like after that experience happened, like I just remember like moving through it and not telling anybody and pretending like it never happened. But it affected my school life so much. I always blamed it on not knowing what I wanted to do in Unilag, when actually I've always been fully aware of what I wanted to do, growing up. I went from, wanting to be a gynecologist to being so good in English. I don't know if I can swear. What's it fucking?
Yeah, you can swear.
To being so fucking good in English and so gifted in writing. And I used to win so many spelling bees to knowing that this was my calling, and just talking and writing was. So I knew what I wanted to do, but I just didn't do that thing because I had experienced something so traumatic and I didn't speak to anybody about it, especially not my granny, because I had so much shame. I didn't want to be blamed like, oh yes, if you didn't dress that way, like maybe they wouldn't have done that, because like knowing people that are like rapists and assaulters, it's not about your dressing, it's about like a power play and you're the victim. So I didn't tell my granny, and I remember being so in my head, and it's like they poured cold water on me because like I had come from a missionary school where your program was aligned for you. You ate 6 times a day. You had siesta, you slept, you woke up, you went for classes. Everything was so, secluded, and you were safe, even if like the school wasn't really the best in terms of like emotional everything. And I had come from that to being so naive with life and how people can be, how wicked they can be. And, it felt like somebody poured cold water on me, and I was just like, wait, this is actual reality. Like this is a story, or countless stories that I've heard from people, and people tell me, women, men, like, oh, I was sexually assaulted. It was one of those things I didn't think could ever happen to me.
Let's quickly sip some Lipton. Yeah, thank you, Lipton, for keeping it refreshed and allowing us experience human connection. I want to know what you were doing after Unilag, all the time that all those times where you were not going to classes up until Big Brother. What was that phase? What was happening with you? You had a boyfriend at the time who passed, right? I just want to talk about that phase. What happened?
Actually, didn't have my boyfriend until I was 18, December-ish.
Yeah.
But we started dating officially when I was 19. I don't know what I was doing, or maybe my brain has wiped it off.
How were you surviving? Did you know you were out of school?
No, nobody knew I was out of school. Until, my mom had asked, and I just was like, let me finally admit that I was out of school.
How long did she ask? How long after school did she ask? How long after leaving school did she ask?
Actually, don't remember the timeline. We had periods where we actually did not used to talk because she was doing stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe it took a long while before she was like, oh, Angel, how is school? And I was just there like, well, I dropped out.
Whoa, must have killed her.
Not really. I give my parents, props for being somewhat
Chilled.
understanding and chill. So when I told her that, she asked me why, and I obviously did not tell her what happened. I was just like, oh, I don't think I was doing the right course. And then she just enrolled me in like a foundational program for me to go to the UK. I dropped out of that as well.
Why?
I feel like a lot of it has to do with, actually not knowing my direction and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That also played a part. And also like every other thing that had happened, my brain being so, like everything was happening, and COVID happened, that's also dulled my morale, because 2019 and everything had entered, I'd enrolled into the program, foundation and everything. I was meant to write my exams 2020 the next year. Then COVID happened, so much was happening. And I was just like, I'm not even doing something I want to do anyways. And I also think it had to stem from going to a high school where you had to be smart by force. And obviously, like if you're in school, you have to do well. Yeah. But like theirs was at the expense, like you got your smartness from shame. That was how the high school was made. 2019, I obviously lost my boyfriend. So
wow,
a lot going back to school for me felt actually too soon. I hadn't grieved properly because I entered school in August. my boyfriend had died in June. So
How long did you guys date for?
still, we had, if I include the talking stage, maybe like a year. You know,
But
but
there
like,
was talking stage.
actually still no, like I mean, like if I include the talking stage, a
How
year,
long was
we're
the talking
actually
stage?
dating. We were talking for like 6 months.
Jesus, I beg Angel. Now, say you wanted to get boyfriend for this Lagos. Talking 6 months.
Like I said, like my attention span affects like a lot of things. So like, you know, he would always be the one doing most of the work.
6
Either it's like,
months.
Angel, like let's make this work. And I grew up so scared of people
Yeah.
loving me.
Yeah.
Just so, because like people actually think I'm a hard guy. I'm not a hard guy. I'm so soft that
Tell me about it.
I have to actually be
Protect-
a hard guy
yeah,
and protect that
put your
bubble
guard up,
because
yeah.
I'm so scared of being hurt.
Yeah.
And even worse, because like before then I had so many men toasting me. Like, you know, you're just fresh out of high school. You have all
She
these
be
stupid
babe now,
perverts.
yeah.
You have the ones that are your age mates, you know, then they are now untouched. So it's like
Never been touched.
men are so like, oh wow,
fresh,
this
yo.
is a visionary, you know, fresh meat. So I have people to see me. I just did not let them get to that level. So it was my boyfriend, 6 months. He was talking to me, Angel, please now, please.
Aww.
And I finally agreed. And then as the universe, I don't know if it's the universe that willed it, but like he died in June. And
What
that
was he sick? What happened?
6 months of dating. No, he actually just exed. I feel like he was like deuces because like the day before he was like, oh, we're meant to see the next day, you know. He was like, oh, I can't wait to see you in the morning and everything and I love you. This was by like 11 p.m. And then his brother calls me. First of all, I would like to say that I was talking to his brother first if I met him.
Angel.
I was talking to his brother
Buddy.
and everything and then I met him and I just exed his brother because I'm like, yeah, this
This is the
person
one.
fits.
Yeah.
There was just like a connection, you know, and I knew I was going to get connected to him. That's why I kept on running away. So, you know, like the next day his brother calls me and it's like, I'm thinking, oh, maybe he's coming to pick me up with, you know, Victor. And then Matthew is like, oh, that, from the tone of his voice, I was just like, what happened to Victor? But like, I was not expecting he has died thing.
Yeah.
I was expecting
Sick
he's sick or something. And it's like, he didn't wake up. And I remember like the breath leaving my body because it's like, oh my God, I've watched all those things like romantic movies that always end up sad. Like the person has cancer or something chaotic. And my imagination was just like, this would never happen to me. And you know, the funny thing is, I did not process that information that day because that day I went out to drink
Shock.
wine. And I have videos of me like, you know, making videos.
It doesn't make sense. You spoke to him the night
Yes,
before.
like making videos normally. Like that night I went out, I was outside, like I was in the club. You know, like I was having the time of my life. And they had told me this in the afternoon. In the night, I was clubbing. And then the next day, in the morning, I woke up and I texted my boyfriend. I was like, how are you, baby? No reply. And I called Matthew. And Matthew is like, Angela, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, wait, let's chill. And it just felt like the breath in my body had left me because like I clung onto him so much because it felt like, you know, God had finally like
Give you balance as
blessed
well.
me with someone that I did not have to explain myself to. Like Victor could see me doing something and he just knew like, this is why you're doing it. And I don't think I have healed from that. Not in the sense where, oh, I'm still grieving. In the sense where in my mind, I still feel like I'm never going to find someone that would ever get me like that. And when I tell people I don't want to get married, they're just always like, oh, a small picking that's worrying her or this or that. But there are two things. One, I genuinely feel like he was my soulmate. And two, I also feel like when I tell people that I don't want to get married, they think because she's a hard girl and she doesn't love anybody. But like in reality, like I'm actually shielding myself from experiencing
That level
anything.
of vulnerability.
I know that's what my brain is doing. Because of course, like I want to be loved and I want to love back. But I feel like I've let this like one person
And this is what happened.
and this is what happens. Of course, I want to get married and have the time of my life with like someone that loves me and I don't have to explain my existence to, that just sees me. But like every time I get close to somebody, my brain just actually goes into default and it's like, nope, Angel, just explode
This is
yourself.
what I also think, right? So you can look at it from this angle. What if God gave you Victor to let you know that you can be loved? Somebody can actually love you like that.
it's also a thing of then why the fuck did you take him then? Like, it's one thing for you to tell us, okay, Angel, break up. You know, it's another thing for you to be like, yeah, we're going to wipe him from the surface of the earth.
But if Victor came and saw through you and was your guy, it shows that somebody can come again and just be that person. So I understand the vulnerability of not even... It's just a lot of vulnerability because this is the one time that you finally opened up to love somebody and poof, it was gone. So I understand. But then again, think about it. Maybe God actually brought him to show you that, you know what, girl, you can actually be love.
I've actually experienced love again. I mean, like, before I went into Big Brother, like, I had like foresight, and he's actually like the sweetest person after Victor that I've ever met. If not on the same par, actually. He was so sweet to me, but it just couldn't work for whatever reason. And that's why in my brain, I just think that, okay, maybe my soulmate has actually died and I'm just destined to be
Darling, you're 22. There's so many soulmates that you missed you before you die.
Fair enough. I don't think so, Sha. Maybe friendship soulmates, because I like to categorize my soulmates into
you
like...
can start from there if you
I haven't found my friendship soulmates. Maybe I will find. But like my soulmates, like someone that is the love of my life. I don't know. But like you said, I'm still 22, so maybe.
Yes, you'll find. Tell me about auditions and getting to the house.
It was chaotic. So, you know, like I had just been like, you know, I need a boost, like something to just distract me. So I remember my mom, I didn't want to go for Big Brother. When the auditions came out, my mom was like, you know that the auditions for Big Brother have come out, go now. And I was like, no.
I heard your mom actually wanted to go, but she couldn't get in.
She wanted to go, but she didn't do it. Like she said, she never got to actually auditioning.
So she
was just all those things, you know, when you say something like, oh yeah, I want to go for Big Brother, but you actually never go to like do it. So she was like, yeah, I want to go, and she actually never went. She was having the time of her life in Ghana. So my mom was like, you know, the auditions have come out, like go and look at the you know, website and everything. I was like, why would I go for Big Brother? I should like go see. If anybody gives you bass, give them bass.
I love your mother, by the way. I have to say.
She's such a fucking icon. I love her so much. Like,
so wait. Before we get into the story, because you just talked about your mom now.
Yeah.
Did your relationship with your mom get better over time?
Yeah, it did, because like I could just see my mom was me, honestly. And like we have actually come such a long way from generational trauma. She herself didn't grow up with my granny. You know, my granny was in London and she was in Nigeria, and she had to grow up with an aunt that treated her so badly, which was why she had me. Yeah. You know, that's why I would get so upset. Like when people troll me online, I don't care. But like when people troll my mom, it gets to me, and I always have to remind myself to not reply, because it's like, this woman has gone through so much for me. I went to a high school where our fees were up to $1 million, and my mom paid that fucking shit every year for 6 years as a single mother by herself.
Titi, that's her name, right?
Yes, Titi.
Shout out to Titi.
It's like, I give her so much accolades for the shit that she did for me. Even though like in terms of like emotion, she wasn't really like a stronghold, you know, to lean on. But in terms of making sure that my school work was done, and I used to be the friend that people would come to in high school, like if they needed something, they had run out of toiletry or anything, it would be me. I had a bag of glitter pens. You know, I was artsy. Like
she provided for you.
She provided for me as a single mom. Yeah. From when she was 16, I wore the best clothes. I wore rough and tumble growing up as a fucking child. Come on, I drank Cerelac, like as a single mother. Like I give her props, and I get so upset when people drag her, because you know she's so young, and you know she does TikToks and she's online, and people don't understand that she's doing those things because she was a child raising me. She didn't have the time to experience those things and do the things that her people that did not have kids were doing, you know, clubbing and all of that. So if I see my mom clubbing now, I mean, her DM's like, yes, girl, you go. Because like you spend so much time as a child. I grew up with you, basically. There's not so much of a gap between my mom and I. I mean, my 20s, she's in her 30s. So, you know, I grew up with her. So I go 24, 25. So when people come and they're trolling her, I'm just like, please leave that woman alone to enjoy her life. You know, let her do her TikToks in peace. Let her be online in peace. If she wants to comment on that Insta blog, let her go and comment on that Insta blog, because she didn't experience those things. So she's like, yeah, go for Big Brother and everything. So I'm like, okay, just going to do it and see how it goes. I mean, I'm looking for a boost somewhere.
Were you surprised when they picked you?
I definitely was, because like I had just turned 21 in February.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of people don't believe my age. Actually, I don't know why. But I had just turned 21 in February. So I was just doing it for the heck of it. And then I got to the first stage. And there's so many stages. And I'm always so alarmed when people say that we pay. I wish I paid. I went through so many stages of doubt. And you know when you're like already knee deep in it, and it's like, after all of this, if they don't pick me, it's going to be war.
Yes.
So first stage, calm. They pick me. Second stage, calm. They pick me. Third stage, calm. They pick me. Fourth stage, I wait actually, and I'm waiting. Something finally comes, and then we go through all the stages. After that, obviously, you do your medicals and everything to make sure you're safe.
You got some. Of course, you got some medicals.
Yeah, and then the final stage, they send us like this meal. You have to get something by this time. By this time, if you don't get it, it means you're not going. So they gave us a time frame. Like, let's say they said 4 to 6. If you don't get your invite, you're not going. But they shall send in that meal, they also said to you the things that you need to pack. So, I had packed my stuff and everything. I packed my stuff with foresight. He was the one that was dropping me on my interviews and everything. They gave us a time frame and I didn't get mine. So I'm unpacking my stuff and everything. And then at that time I remember going to church so frequently because I so desperately needed like stability or something in my life to just give me the it factor,
I always use Jesus is the way, but okay.
And then the devil decided to test me during that period. My mom got so sick, we had to fly her back to Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
So during the interview process, I was taking care of my mom. She didn't remember me. And it just brought like so much like PTSD from my great granny. So it was like, is this happening again? So we brought her back and everything. We were having the interview. We're going through that process and everything. And then I was so close to God then. I had gone to church and I was like, this is what is happening in my life. I don't know what's next. Like, if they actually pick me, then like who's going to take care of my mom? Like I can't obviously leave her to my granny and everything. So much doubt. And then my mom got better for some reason. We thank God she got better. But like during that period while she was still struggling and everything, they didn't send me, my meal on time. And then I remember going to church that day and I was just like, by this time my mom was getting better. I was just like, maybe my mom was going to get sick again. Maybe that's why I didn't, get picked or anything. So I'll just stay and take care of her. And I remember going to church and everything. And I went back home, I drove back home to Forsyth. And Forsyth was just like, just check that. I was like, no, like they already said that this is the time frame and everything. And I remember like a voice just telling me, check your mail. And I checked my mail and I refreshed it, nothing was there. And I refreshed it again just for like posterity. And then I saw my mail there. And I remember calling Forsyth and packing my fucking shit so fast. And I zipped my box. I was like, yes, bitch.
Finally.
I got in. And then I remember crying so hard because it was like, I just needed something,
Yes.
And then we had the whole lockdown process and then I got in. And I remember looking at the house because I used to know about Big Brother. My granny was such a fanatic of Big Brother. There was Big Brother Africa. I had even met Kevin. There was one Kevin that won. I don't know if it was BBA or something.
Kevin Palm?
I think I was so small,
That's him, right?
tiny. I had met Uti as well. I was so tiny. And
finally you're here.
I entered inside the house and it was a full circle moment. I was like, wait, I watched Uti on this fucking show. And the colors were so bright. The house was so
beautiful.
It was so bright and it was so colorful. And it was a lot coming from that place. And I feel like they did that on purpose because we came from such a gloomy place for lockdown to just being hit. And I was the first girl to walk in.
Crazy.
A major fuck you to those boys for the prank they pulled. Because when I walked in, I was like, hey, I know it was like, shit. Oh my God. Reality TV. And I remember it being so wow. Full circle moments.
Do you think there's unhealthy competition amongst you guys?
Yes, definitely.
Because there's a lot of things that I see online. I'm just like, yo, didn't these people all live in the same house for 3 months? Why this level of vitriol against each other? Like the things that you guys say about yourselves, the drama that ensues. It's just crazy. Do you think is this competition fueled by the fans, or this is just beef from inside the house, or why is it that there's some sort of
I'll say it's both ways. Because coming into the industry is you've been secluded from society for 3 months. That's if you're like me and you stayed until the finale. Even if you're not like me.
The shade of it all.
And even if you're not like
shade.
even if you're not like me and you stay 2 weeks, it's like you had lockdown. So there's that lockdown phase plus the 2 weeks. So you have been secluded for like a month from society and they just toss you into the industry. A lot of us that get into the industry, we're not in the industry before.
Don't know shit about the industry.
We don't know shit about shit. So when you're coming out thinking, oh, obviously people know me and that's cool. Or, I'm famous now and brands are going to approach me. You're not knowing the details of like the intricacy of it all.
Yeah.
Then you come out and you're just tossed into the limelight.
A new industry that you're not aware of. Yeah.
And nobody knows how overwhelming it can be.
Yes.
And when you're out of the house, the first thing someone is telling you is, you have only 1 year. Oh, after 1 year like this, new housemates will come. And everybody will forget you. You can tell yourself, God is going to give me my own pace. And if I'm meant to be here, I'm meant to be here.
But sometimes.
But your brain receives that information and you go into panic mode. So now, even deals that don't matter, that don't align with your brand, that are, let's not say cheap, but are offering you money that you have been offered more than. You take those deals because you have external pressure from outside telling you you have to do what you have to do so that 1 year from now you'll be relevant.
Also, you want to seem like you're winning.
You also want to seem like, oh, I'm the biggest and I'm winning. Meanwhile, there might be a deal that you've announced that wasn't even, in terms of all the other things that you've collected, wasn't even up to par. But you just did it not because you like the brand, because personally for me, I like to align myself with brands that love me. And when I came out of the house, I said it's like, I want my brand to be so family oriented that I can tell one of my brands, oh, I'm not feeling too well today. Can I reschedule my deliverables? That's the type of relationship that I want to build. And I want my brand to be able to tell me, oh, Angel, you're not doing something well. Can you help us with this? I want to sit down and meet the people that invited me into their space to be like, oh, Angel, let's talk about this. A friendly working environment.
Yeah. You're a big advocate for mental health. You've been in and out of depression. You speak about it a lot. Life after Big Brother, how did it affect you?
I've gotten to a stage where I have to remind myself to not be scared to speak about my experiences.
Yeah.
Because when I came out of the house, I came out to a lot of, mental health was my strategy. And I'm sorry to say, but...
So people said that?
Yeah. And in my mind, I'm just like, why would I pander to people? I think that Nigerians have to be the least emotional, intelligent people.
I agree.
And for me, it's a thing of why would I want to pander to people that I know majority don't understand my experiences and they don't even understand themselves. It might be an experience that they're struggling with, but they don't even know they're struggling with. So they probably think it's a thing of shame. So for me, coming out, I'm seeing people tag me a mental patient. I went from wanting to speak about my experiences to wanting to shut up so that people would not think that, oh, I'm always sad. Half of the time when I'm tweeting, oh, I found out that this happened, or I'm tweeting about like mental health related issues, I'm tweeting it to give people a safe space, which is exactly why I want to dive into like my mental health blogging and podcasting and everything.
Yeah.
Because like I have so many experiences that even if we start from now to today, we cannot get everything on tea with Taymesan. It's like,
you can try.
It's like I've struggled with so many things growing up, especially as a teenager, that I want to give people the space that I didn't have. So when I came out, some people were like, oh, she's a mental patient. She's always using her mental health as an excuse for this. For me, it's like, one thing I know how to do that I even do too much is take accountability for my actions. Like if I know I've offended you, I'll say it. I won't say it's because I'm depressed or because I'm an Aquarius. That's why I did it. So to come out and see that it made me want to go back to the space I was when I was younger. And I was so ashamed to talk about those things. Like, yes, I'm struggling. But like, aren't we all struggling in some shape or some form? Like, we are all struggling. And I feel like the society should be more accepting of that.
Do you sometimes regret going to Big Brother?
Yes, I regretted it today as I woke up.
Yeah.
Nothing
what it
happened
comes
though.
with, yeah.
I just woke up and I was just like, Angel, nobody sent you message.
Oh, that thing they do you too.
Yes, it's like, who sent you message? You could have been, I mean, I know I was not in the best places, you know, but I was okay. For my age, I was doing perfectly okay for my age.
Yeah.
There are days where you're grateful and then there are days where you're just angry at God. Like, God, why this?
Or the days where you're feeling like, oh, why did I go for Big Brother? Is it because of the fans and the trolling and the people pulling you left to right and center? And do you sometimes feel misunderstood by everybody else except yourself?
Yes, it's a mixture of everything. I will say that out of the Big Brother house, I think I'm definitely, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but I think I have to be the one that is mostly misunderstood. In what's in the, like, I can just tweet something random and somebody will come to me and be like, you're trolling this person. Meanwhile, in my mind, I'm just tweeting to tweet. Half of the time, I actually do not know what's happening on the TL. I just tweet and go, and I come back and I see that people are in my comment section or in my quotes dragging me, saying that I'm, you know. So, like, there are days where I feel like that because obviously the trolling will get too much because sometimes you actually want to go online and have fun, you know.
Yeah.
You want to go online and go back to how it was before Big Brother or before you became somewhat famous. You want to tweet knowing that maybe like people will understand like your mutuals, because before Big Brother you have mutuals that when you tweet something they already know your perspective, where you're coming from, because you choose your following at this point.
Yeah.
But after Big Brother, it's like everything now, they think rather that everything surrounds, you know, you being in the house, your friendships, like as if before Big Brother you didn't have any friends prior or you didn't have any relationships prior. So on some days, like, yeah, I think sometimes the fans have to do with it. You know, adjusting to the industry because you're just thrown in it has to do with it. There's so much anxiety because, like I said, people tell you after a year, new housemates are coming. You want to overcompensate. Even though deep down in your heart, you look at your page internally, you know that you've worked your hardest and you're trying your best. But you have that knowledge in your head telling you, oh, you have to do harder, and you don't even get to rest. So yes, of course, like the trolling is a part of it. Like you just want to have a good day sometimes. Like let's say you're already struggling and you just come online to laugh now and you tweet something and someone takes it out of context. Or even, you know, brands, like you want to work and meet the expectations. But the thing about working is that, to be honest, you can never really meet everybody's expectations, to be fair. So you want to do and overcompensate. And you also want to, you know, be the best out there. Like you want people to be like, oh, in her set or in his set, she's the best or she was the best. So there's now that unhealthy competition. So now you're just going through life anxious, worried. You know, I have worried about a lot of things since I got out of Big Brother. I have been like...
Worrying is my food, my breakfast and lunch.
I have been like, Angel, what if you no longer get deals again? What next?
Oh, that's what they do you.
I always like, that. Angel, what if you don't get any deals again? What next will you do?
You know that sometimes I wake up in the morning, right? The devil just uses me to play that morning. If you just start like, oh my God, this kind of life now. You're just stuck. When last did you book anything? What are you doing with your life? And because we're just flipping through pictures on social media, comparison is so easy.
Yes,
there's somebody that's created their life for us, giving us their life in filter and in a nice reel. So we think that, oh, we're not doing as much. And we can just get into a cycle where you're just overthinking, and you almost become depressed. It's crazy. Like,
I have asked myself, I'm like, Angel, what next? And I also ask myself, I'm like, well, Angel, you want to write and stuff like that. Okay, Angel, how about you marketing your writing to be profitable? So I always find myself asking myself, what's next? And I won't lie to you, I haven't sat down to be like, Angel, I'm proud of you. Yeah. Since I got out of Big Brother. And I have achieved so much. I've gotten a house. You know. I've gotten deals.
You have a new brand new car.
I've worked with fucking Oppo.
I love it.
It's like, Angel, sit down and be like,
count your wins.
Angel, you're doing so amazing for yourself.
Yeah.
But I never find myself doing that. I just look at myself like, Angel, there's something else that you're not doing and you could be doing more, I haven't actually sat down to be like, Angel, live in the moment and acknowledge that you're just 22. You just turned 22 in February.
You're doing so well.
And you're doing so well for yourself. It's hard to remember that, when you're just pushing to this.
Yeah,
space.
I think it happens to all the creatives. And some of us, we're so attached to, our self-worth is so attached to what we achieve. So when we get a new win, we're okay for the moment, but what's next?
Yeah.
Because we attach our self-worth to it. But I think one of the things that's helped me over time is to practice gratitude. So maybe you can journal and just keep writing all the things that you're grateful for. So that when you're in this state, you just revert to it and just probably help you. But what is in the works for you? So you've mentioned podcasting, you're writing, you're also doing a lot of work with big brands, Oppo, Eyowo, right? Swarovski. So you're a big madam.
Oh,
you understand? But I understand how you feel about your work. So
yeah,
what's next? Like, and when do you want to start? Give us time so that we can, even if you don't do it at the time, we can still call you and say, Angel, you're missing something.
Yeah. Actually, I just opened like a YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a lifestyle girl. I like to document like the things that I'm doing. So I'm looking to use my YouTube as a lifestyle content thing.
Mm-hmm.
That one is just for fun, I know that YouTube pays, but it's gradual work.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking at releasing a book. Everybody has been asking me when is the book. And for me, it's just like creative block. Please allow me to chill and take my time with it. So that's definitely in the works. I feel like the one that I'm getting into immediately is my podcasting, / talk show. I feel like it just fits me, as a person. I'm really chatty.
Because if you talk, you can talk.
Yeah, I'm open to experiences. I'm not judgy at all. So like if somebody tells me something now that everybody's like, I just be there like, that's interesting.
Also, we need more advocates for mental health.
Yes, definitely.
More than ever, especially with the advent of social media, our generation, we're going to be so depressed. We're going to be going through it.
Especially the, people that are out there.
Yes.
It's like I want us to have conversations that no one is talking about. And even if people are talking about, like they're talking about it in like questions so that people don't drag them. And that's why I want to start the podcast and the mental health blog. I already created like a subscribers email so that people can go there and see what's up.
Cheers to you, Angel, and all the amazing things you're gonna do going forward.
Cheers.